Great show for you guys tonight. My name is Carter Shaw, the host of the Carter Shaw Show. I don't think I'm gonna categorize this as a Carter Shaw show. I'm not sure yet, but as for now, it's just a stream that we're all gonna hang out. We're gonna have a great time. It's been a great week in the news cycle. Some great things have been popping up, but we're gonna get into it. My first sort of thing was, if you guys remember, about a couple weeks ago, I think it was February maybe 20th. Let me see real quick. It was February 10th. There was a lawsuit that dropped, or the characteristics of a lawsuit were made publicized by somebody over Twitter. Very great. That's a great way to publicize a lawsuit, by the way, is over Twitter. That's how you should always do it, by the way. But I had planned on talking about this last week because it was February 10th. I mean, this is like I had plenty of time. It's the 21st now. I planned on doing it last week, but then there was Super Bowl last week. I think the Super Bowl was last week, right? Or was that 2 weeks ago? It was 2. Well, so today's Tuesday, so it would have been Sunday and then the week before, so about 9 days ago. So I planned on talking about it then, and then I was like, "No one's gonna watch it." So Sunday, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do a show," and then I just forgot to be honest. But all the boys, Big Nick and JPEG both said they aren't streaming tonight, so tonight's my night, I guess. I guess we're going live. Originally, I'd planned on doing a reaction to all of Kai Clip's Out of Touch compilation since I tried to get him on the show and we couldn't fix a schedule to get him on. So I was gonna just do a reaction thing and then talk about the whole Sydney Watson drama. But his YouTube channel got sucked in case you didn't notice. I don't know if anyone's really pointed this out, so if you haven't checked, you wouldn't know. But his YouTube channel's gone. It's just gone. I figured that out about 5 minutes ago. I was trying to pull up the compilations for some content to watch, but they're gone. So bye bye Kai Clips channel. We miss you. Convert from Mormonism. Bye bye. Uh, but let's go ahead and get into the lawsuit. In case any of you guys weren't made aware, I know my friend Nick, Big Nick, made a video on it, but his video was terrible to be honest. He like stuttered throughout the whole thing, and his commentary was okay at best. So we're gonna get into this. Let me share tab real quick. Present, share screen. It's been so long since I've done a live. I forgot how to do this. Share window. Here we go. All right, so a thread by Patriot J, uh, Breitbart reporter, attorney in LA. Okay. God What is God bless America? Okay, that's cool. What is this website? Let me what is this website? Oh, he was on Jesse Lee Peterson show? Okay, cool. Um, that's cool. I don't know much about this guy. But anyways, we're gonna get into the thread. I don't know what his thoughts are on the whole thing. However, we do have this thread right here. Thread. Get Mr. Schaefer. He spelled Schaefer wrong. He spelled it Schaffer. There's a C there. Get Schaefer to stop talking about penis so much. I'm gonna use the word penis because that's a bad word. We don't cuss here. Cussing's bad. Sydney Watson is suing The Blaze at Blaze TV at The Blaze for retaliation, wrongful determination, and sex and religious discrimination based off alleged abuse perpetuated by Elijah Schaefer. Can we get a based in chat? Based abusing atheist women? Uh, based? According to a copy of the complaint obtained and reviewed by Patriot J. Um, through her counsel, Kurt Schlichter. Let me look at Kurt Schlichter. Tapping the sign. Okay, I haven't heard of this guy. I wonder what is That's interesting. I don't know where the last name Schlichter is from, but whatever. Watson on Wednesday filed a 4-count lawsuit against Blaze Media in federal court that alleges Glenn Beck's media empire created and tolerated a hostile work environment and allowed sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination against her on the basis of religion and sex. Now, this has been a kind of a crazy thing for 2023. There's been a total like you could say attack on Con Inc., but it's coming from other Con Inc. people. You know, like Sydney Watson attacking Con Inc. or Steven Crowder attacking Con Inc. It's like it's a total like theater. You know, like obviously we should attack these people. These people are gatekeeping the movement. But it's like these people are retarded. You know, like Steven Crowder goes down, he's like, the reason why these people don't give the real takes is because they're being told not to, and they're incentivized not to. Well, you're Steven Crowder, and you're off the contracts, and you haven't made a show since then, and you don't care what they tell you. You've demonstrated that clearly. You can't peek Botman Tate, but you're still retarded. So nothing's gonna change. But it is interesting to see that this sort of leadership struggle that's happening. We saw. I know I mentioned Daily Wire and Blaze, but there's also the Project Veritas thing that happened recently, where James O'Keefe was kicked out, I believe, for like sexually demeaning women or something like that. Um, which again is kind of funny, but it's so silly. It's all like theater. At least with the Crowder thing, it seemed to be more genuine than these two. These two are just what you'd see if you threw some liberal into the conservative political space, and that's exactly what this is. It's like some liberal, Sydney Watson, a liberal atheist woman who has slept with like has a body count of over 100 from what I've been told, and likes to have sex with black men from what I've been told. A woman who's like a total sex demon from what I've heard, and has gone to all of these events, drinks with Elijah Schaffer and drinks with all these other guys, and they'll get drunk. And I know Elijah Schaffer, from what I understand, stood from the most part refrained from sex when he got drunk. However, there was a certain incident with Emily Saves America that Current Revolt exposed, and there was also some groping incidents that allegedly happened. However, what we learned from all this is, don't get drunk, obviously. Um, but these people that are like dissenting towards the big conning groups are in no way better than the conning groups. In a lot of ways, they're worse. So it's all silly. Uh, Watson on Wednesday filed a 4-count lawsuit against Blaze Media. Have I read this already? Yeah, I have. Okay, Watson and Schaefer starred in a widely beloved You Are Here. No one liked the show, by the way. The show sucked. Blaze TV podcast from September 2021 through April 2022. Per the complaint, the maximum value of Watson's multi-year agreement with Blaze was approximately $1 million. Yeah, imagine being paid $1 million to get demeaned on your show and then complaining. However, the seven-figure deal is only one of the reasons she signed the contract with the Blaze. Watson chose Blaze because the company she represented itself is an incubator of talent, and pointed to Dana Loesch and Tommy Lahiren's success as evidence of such. Yeah, Tommy Lahiren, a literal whore. I don't know much about Dana Loesch. I mean, I know who she is, but I don't know if she's like I don't know how much about her from like a social standpoint, like what her views are on social standpoints. But Tommy Lahiren, a woman who dates and has sex with black men and has abortions a lot, who ruined her own marriage and got a divorce. Yeah, women like this are your conservative icons that we need to have moral values expressed, and I'm so glad we have the Blaze to express all this stuff. It's so stupid. She also said the company's moral values were important to her decision. Unfortunately, trouble in Paradise began as early as December 2021, leading to multiple complaints made to management and weekly interactions with them since January 2022. Watson complained to Blade's leadership that Schaefer, they spelled it wrong again, misogyny, drinking on set, okay, that's cringe, grossly sexual nature, kind of cringe, but their producer, um, I can't remember his name for some reason right now, but the producer was also male on sex jokes, and so did Sydney Watson. Sydney Watson was actually the worst of it, probably. I mean, it's just like, oh, because you mentioned the word penis, that's what makes you uncomfortable. But you're over here like making jokes about giving blowjobs. Okay, Sydney Watson, you're a demon. Shut up. The Blaze refused to act because he was their star and primary asset, which as a result failed to protect Watson's rights and the integrity of the program. Rather than act as her complaints, Blaze instead opted to cater to demands, tantrums, and misbehaviors of Schaefer, the complaint alleges. Yeah, just more nonsense, Watson claims Schaefer's persona on Yeah became increasingly aggressive and soon began to veer into outright misogyny. Let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, that'll be better. He appeared to enjoy the intimidation factor that his physical size gave him with respect to Miss Watson, according to the complaint. The choice of guests compounded Miss Watson's growing discomfort with the anti-female tone of the show and the off-air interactions with her co-hosts. So, if you don't know, You Are Here quite frequently had John Doyle on, and also had a couple guests that made Sydney Watson extremely uncomfortable. There was a Jack Murphy incident where this guy named Jack Murphy, who was a masculinity guru, took a shot at Sydney Watson for reading a super chat that talked about him making some sort of like tranny porno. Um, it was like very disgusting, and she was like, "How dare you silence me? And how dare Elijah Schaffer not? How dare Elijah Schaffer tolerate it?" It's like both Jack Murphy and Sydney Watson were in the wrong there. Sydney Watson should be quiet, to be honest. No one likes her. That none of the live chat ever liked her. They were all making fun of her. No one liked her. She's annoying and pretentious. And she's not it. And Jack Murphy's a cuck, an adulterer, a liar. He's prideful. I mean, they're both evil. And then they also had Kai Clips on, whom Sydney Watson was very combative over for basically zero reason. Kai Clips kept it very cordial as he always does, but she went straight towards him and straight after him the whole time because he held anti-women views, you could say, anti-woman views, which is really just pro-woman views because you can't be pro-woman unless you are pro the essence of a woman. If you believe that women should be in the workforce, if you believe that women are equal to men, you're anti-women because you're degrading the value of what a woman is. So you can't be pro-woman and also pro-equality. It's one or the other. So what is framed as anti-woman being like viewing women to needing to participate in the traditional role of things is the actual manner in which things should happen and is also pro women. But it doesn't really matter. What matters is people like Sydney Watson, whom are not conservatives, whom are only in the business because they think third wave feminism is bad. And I don't like when men mistreat women or when women mistreat men. I think everyone should be equal. And third wave feminists take it too far. If that is your value belief, you do not belong on a spot on any conservative platform ever. You have all these people like Daily Wire. Brett Cooper makes a thing with Jeffree Star. It's like, oh, Jeffree Star's base, guys. She said there's two genders. What are the two genders? It's not a hot take that there's two genders. What are the two genders? What is a male? What is a female? What separates man and woman? If you can't answer those things, then you shouldn't say there's two genders because you don't believe there's two genders. You basically believe there's one gender if you believe there's no difference between them. And you basically believe transgenderism is basically a thing on a cultural level if you believe there's no difference between man and woman on a cultural basis. That's just the manner in which things work. So when you have people like Sydney Watson come on here and they're expecting to perpetuate real conservatism and it's some fake, lame demonstration of what any person in the right side of the French Revolution would have just, which is where, the right side of politics came from, was the French Revolution. If any of them saw where their movement has led to today, with people like Sydney Watson perpetuating basically satanic, prideful, pro woman, anti man rhetoric, if any of them heard that and knew that's what their movement would have led to, they would have allowed the French to kill them and allowed them to die. They would have given up because it's a mockery of everything they did. It's a mockery of everything that everyone that preceded them has done. It's totally disgraceful. Sydney Watson, screw you. Okay, screw Sydney Watson. Sydney, I'm coming for you. Don't take that out of context. But I'm coming for you, Sydney Watson. I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna hit you with the right hook. Okay, I'm gonna beat you up, Sydney Watson. Anyways, they also had Nick Fuentes on, and Nick Fuentes comes on, and Sydney Watson is like, "This is the worst thing to ever happen. I can't believe that you would perpetuate Middle Eastern like Christian value. Well, it's not Christian in the Middle East, but you know what I'm saying. Like Middle Eastern traditional values, which are, at least when it comes to men and women, it's not that different from the Christian values of man and woman. I can't believe you perpetuate this third world, or yeah, the old world would be a better term. This old world view of man and woman. Don't you know the Muslims? Don't you know we hate the Muslims? I was like, maybe there's a reason that America can't defeat the Muslims, despite like having greater technology, despite having way more troops. The fact that these wars are even like still a contest is because we're just weak as a country and because they're obeying something that's actually natural. I mean, it's just a total mockery of the human nature to be like, how dare you perpetuate that which is true because that's rude. You have to be so prideful to seriously believe that you are above nature, that you are above the limits of your own body, that you can perpetuate yourself to be equal to some man who died in some war for you to live, and for you to equate your daily battle of waking up and having a period and equate it to that, and believe that you can do the same thing a man does in any form of scenario, you have to have some serious pride to think that. But Sydney Watson does. I mean, she's an atheist. Of course, she's full of pride. She's sucked 100 dicks. Of course, she has serious pride. I mean, she's just a whore. But yeah, she's like the choice of guests compounded Miss Watson's growing discomfort with the anti-female tone of the show. Cindy Watson, you had Buck Angel, a transgender porn director and actor. You had Candace Horbox, a porn star, a very famous former porn star, and you had this other crypto bitch who was also a former porn star. Sydney Watson, why is being a porn star, why is having porn stars on your show okay? Why isn't it okay to have anti-women people on your show? Why is the paradigm of what is acceptable in right-wing politics, why is porn acceptable, but true conservative Christian values aren't acceptable? Maybe it's because we're platforming people that aren't true conservatives. Whoa, it's silly. It's cringe. All this stuff is tiring. It's boring. It sucks. And here we talk about it again. Watson points to Yas' decision featuring notorious bigot Nick Fuentes as evidence of the increasingly hostile work environment. He was grossly misogynistic, and most troubling was how this appeared to be condoned by Mr. Schaefer. Let's go. Hey, one on the board for Mr. Schaefer. Can we get one on the board? Mr. Schaefer 1. Sydney Watson 0. She's got destroyed, okay? It was about this time that the environment of the production began to become notably more hostile, not merely to Miss Watson, but to many of the women at the Blaze. So they'd also be talking about Sarah Gonzalez and what's her name? Savannah Hernandez, which left the what was there? Slightly Offensive, which used to be pretty slightly offensive and left. I know some people speculate it's for some reasons, and then some people just say it's because she had better job opportunities with TPSA. I'm not sure what the truth is on that. However, I do know Sarah Gonzalez and Sydney Watson both spoken out against Elijah Schaefer, and Lisa Elizabeth also said something. She said like Elijah like groped her, but she didn't care or something like that. I don't remember. This was like 2-month-old drama. But anyways, yeah, Nick Swanson points to the infamous Jack Murphy live episode. Watson claimed Schaefer refused to control Murphy because Watson, as a woman, would have looked weaker if Schaefer demanded his guests to stop his abuse. Uh, uh. Watson accused Schaefer of unilaterally booking several guests with a particular contemptible and sexist opinions towards women after the show returned from the holiday break in January 2022. As a serious journalist, Watson did not agree to assume the role of the designated punching bag of the sexist guest and for Mr. Schaefer himself, nor was she warned about it in advance according to this complaint. Watson said the alleged conduct is appalling, particularly in the light of the Blaze's representation to its audience of largely conservative Americans that it stood for solid traditional values. Solid traditional values is sexist opinions towards women. Solid traditional values is Sydney Watson being seen as a whore and being put in jail. Solid traditional values is everything that Sydney Watson isn't. Okay. She's always been a grifter. She's always been in the business for getting more and more penises in her mouth. She's always been a whore. She's never been conservative. She's annoying. She wasn't likable at all. And that's just the end of it. The complaint also takes a shot at Yaz' most loyal viewers. Watson blasted Schaefer for cultivating an audience that uses the idea of being traditional as a cover up for its extreme misogyny. Give me a moment, I got a cough. My throat's killing me. We're good. Such viewers often flooded Yaz' discussion with super chats and the grossly sexist comments, as well as anti-Jewish commentary. Yeah, this was after they had Nick on, and they started getting like Cookie Monster super chats. That made Miss Watson extremely uncomfortable and prevented her from performing her duties as she wished. These audience members, encouraged by Mr. Schaefer's conduct, attacked Mrs. Watson's so often and so intensely that other guests noted it and were put off. I mean, okay. All right. I don't think You Are Here was the only show on The Blaze that takes live super chats. And that's not uncommon for live shows. I know my friend Big Nick does live super chats. There's like plenty of shows that do live super chats. It just happens to be that Sydney Watson is such an unlikable person that she gets these live super chats. And believe me, I've seen the same audience when certain e-girls, we're not gonna name, but certain e-girls go on Slightly Offensive or You Are Here. The live chat's nothing like that. Maybe it's just that people really don't like Sydney Watson, that she's really a detestable person. She's just like completely unlikable. Maybe that's the problem. Schaefer and his audience had a running gag from Miss Watson to read fan super chat. They're allegedly coded dog whistles that reference grossly misogynistic and/or anti-Semitic comments. True. My favorite one was when during the Candace Horbox interview where she got tricked into saying the N-word. That was a classic. Schaefer encouraged his humiliation despite her complaints to him in management. Watson is suing for religious discrimination because Schaefer consistently made disrespectful comments about her being an atheist, based, which encouraged the audience to attack her. Much of the alleged conduct that contributed to the hostile work environment was explicitly sexist in nature. Schaefer would endlessly reference sex, other specifically gay sex, and discuss penises, among other sexual matter, in front of the guest and Miss Watson. Schaefer's sexual comments were so pervasive that at one point, Blaze CEO Tyler Cardon asked Watson to get Mr. Schaefer to stop talking about penises so much. Dog, I'm gonna be honest, this is like really bad optics, but I really gotta grab a water. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. Oh. All right, I'm back. We're back. We're back. I had to grab a water real quick. My bad. Oh. Okay. Where were we? Watson told Cardon to speak with Schaefer because Schaefer allegedly refused to listen to women. Schaefer's apparent refusal to listen to women was insulting and damaged Watson's ability to perform her duties. Watson also complained that it was impossible to work professionally in an environment where Schaefer was drunk and impaired, as he would do hard shots of liquor before many of the shows. That's cringe. That's gay. The YAD team held a 2-hour meeting in March, which Blaze's president, Gaston Mooney, was present for, where Watson expressed how Schaefer's constant sexism and hostile, unprofessional behavior on the show distracted and humiliated her, making it impossible for her to do her job. Watson also allegedly told Schaefer, point blank, that the sexism bothered her and made her want to quit. Schaefer then had a tantrum where he refused to sit on YAD production meetings until his demands were met. I'm interested in knowing what these demands were, but it does not go into specifics as to what that was. Frustrated with Watson's disapproval of YAD's guest, Schaefer refused to help select guests. Oh, okay. I guess this was was this the demands? I'm not sure. Which increased the burden of Miss Watson. Blaze repeatedly promised to take corrective actions, but ultimately failed to act. Watson notes that Schaefer's social media interactions are a component of his participation in the show and uses these interactions to contribute to his harassment. Watson pointed to this April tweet from Schaefer in response to Sebastian Gorka as evidence for the online harassment. This was, if I remember correctly, Sebastian Gorka talking about the Jack Murphy thing. Yeah, I bet he went sit. just sit there like a coward when a man cussed out a woman in front of him. Elijah, you're so relevant, and now I know why. Good one, Elijah. You're so much cooler than that dude. Yeah, jumps. Yeah, Sebastian Gorka's a clown, by the way. His whole thing is just perpetuating war with Russia or China. He's literally just a globalist asset. Yeah, and he says, "I bet she hopes this and she sleeps with you," which is a hilarious response, by the way. That's the best response you could have given, to be honest. April tweet: Watson told Blaze CEO Cardon and President Gaston that she could no longer continue working on Yeah. Cardon didn't inform Schaefer of Watson's departure and told him that show was over. A week after leaving Yeah, Blaze gave Watson the green light to issue a public statement explaining Yeah's conclusion. I left the show. There's multiple reasons for doing so, Watson said in a statement in May. Ultimately, the professional situation morphed into something untenable. Untenable. Can you use English, please? That's not a word. That's a made-up word. That's fake. Okay, that's not a real word. I refuse to believe it is. However, she reminded her followers that she didn't get fired. All right, all right, my young potats. Want to address what I can about you are here. I'd like to provide some closure so we can all move on. I left the show. There were multitude of reasons for doing so. Ultimately, the professional situation morphed into something untenable. I think it's untenable, actually, but no one uses that word. But she's Aussie. She wouldn't know. She's not real. Aussie people aren't real. That's true. If you think Aussie people are real, then you're just wrong. Okay. At the time, Schaefer tweeted, finding out about my show's future on Twitter along with a public like. In response, Watson said he had known for weeks that the show was over and blasted him for adding further dishonesty to the rumor mill. Elijah, you had known for weeks that I stepped away. I was approved to let the audience know there's no sense in adding further dishonesty to the rumor mill. It serves nobody. I wish you the best with slightly offensive in all things to come. Yeah, so side note, I tried to find Yeah clips to add to this thread, but it appears Blaze has made every episode private and rebrand the channel for the recent launch of Prime Time with Alex Stein 99. I recently just unsubbed to this today because I was annoyed with getting these notifications because I had notifications on for You Were Here because, I'd often tune in if it had like a good guest I liked. Like, imagine starting off with a show with just 132K subs. Like, you haven't done anything and your show is already like this. That's crazy. How do I exit out there? There we go. Watson's complaint goes on to accuse Schaefer of telling several people, including InfoWars Harrison Smith, who was on You Are Here, and Tucker Carlson's originals director Scooter Downey, that he had to sue Watson to keep her quiet because she allegedly tried to get Schaefer's wife to divorce him. Now, if you guys didn't see today, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Elijah Schaefer recently, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, uploaded a video where he was talking about an AI program called Sydney trying to ruin his marriage. And it was very clearly, and everyone knows this, it was a jab at Sydney Watson very clearly. Let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I can pull it up right now. So yeah, share this tab. Here we go. This is how Sydney will try to ruin your marriage. And it's just him and Kez, his wife Kez. And it's about some AI program named Sydney that was trying to flirt with someone. And basically, I mean, that's the end of it, but I remember he talked in the video, he sorry, I was looking at something else. He, like, mentioned Australia and a couple other things. He was clearly dropping hints towards the fact that he was, like, double naming Sydney Watson in this whole thing. So, there you go with that. She also alleged that Schaefer falsely told several people that Miss Watson had made passes at him and tried to hit on him on more than one occasion. I believe that. To be honest, this whole thing to me sounds like a woman who could not get with a dude and is now mad at her. I've experienced this before with women who are like trying to date me, and then I just like I shut them down, and then they just go off on you. It happens. Watson argues Blaze constructively terminated her employment agreement in spring 2022 or actually terminated it in July 2022 after she complained about her former co-host's conduct. September 2022, Blaze ultimately cut ties with Schaefer after an investigation regarding a recent personnel matter. Watson is seeking damages for mental anguish, pain and suffering, lost wages, and benefits. Punitive damages and the highest amount under law, and an award of attorney's fees. But for discriminatory and retaliatory actions by the Blaze based on Miss Watson's sex and religion, Miss Watson would have continued to thrive and develop her career. Full disclosure, I appeared on 2 February episodes of Yeah. I will not express my thoughts. I'm just here to report the facts of an interesting lawsuit. I will say, though, I'm grateful to Elijah, Sydney, and the entire Blaze media crew for providing the opportunity to speak on their platform. So yeah. Oh, was his name Brandon? Was that the producer's name? I think his name was Brandon. I think it was Mormon too. But bro, what is this? This is the very definition of taking the Lord's name in vain. You can't claim to be a follower and then behave this way. Woman in the workplace equals trouble. Let's go. Okay. Anyways, is this the best news that we have? Yeah, it is the best news that we have. No, we have more stuff to get into. I got some news that no one else is covering, by the way. But I just wanted to cover that real quick because I originally planned on talking about Kai Clips, and I was going to talk about the Kai Clips. I was going to watch the Kai Clips Sydney Watson interview. The Kai Clips' channel is taken down. So I guess I don't have much else to talk about. But I do have some other things up the sleeve. One thing I can talk about, I had pulled up every year, the horrible place referred to as Pornhub that a lot of people visit every day for some reason releases their annual insight on what is and is not popular. This is a bit black pill to look at, but it's important that someone looks at it. So here we go. We're not looking at any porn, obviously. I wouldn't show that. It's just data. That's it. But let me tab share. Yeah. So they it's pornhub.com/insights. They just do like stats, and you can just look at their stats. And it's just it's so awful, the things that they're like it starts off with the searches that define like searches that are more popular this year than they were that year. And this is really what's important. I don't want to scroll too much into this because this is just disgusting. But what is clear to me with all the Neuralink stuff, all of the AI stuff coming out, that people have a natural lust for sex, obviously, but no one can really have sex anymore because everyone has become so docile that they're just too scared to interact with people IRL. They're too depressed. And, they become so fat, they become unattractive. And even if they do have sex, they probably can't get it up because of erectile dysfunction caused by porn. So, and their libido is also probably killed by different types of things they're eating. So what we see here is because of that, reality stuff has increased about 170%, which is a lot, in case you didn't know. The there you go. That's my commentary on that. In case you're interested, that's my thoughts on porn. Yeah, I don't want to look at that anymore. There you go. You're welcome for that. You know what? I'll do it for you. Here's what I'll do. I'll pull it up, and then you just want not to look at this. I'll just talk about it. Okay, that'll work better. That'll make this less. That'll make this worse. What's clear is casual hookups, group orgies are becoming more popular. Femdom, which is basically when women take the role of a man in a sexual intercourse. That's basically what it is. Um, I've seen a lot of like AF people sometimes say they want to be dominated by some woman. It's just like, bro, what's wrong with you? It's for some reason a thing now, but that's what happens when men get, docile. And whenever conservative media tells you that you're not allowed to be sexist and anti-woman, that you have to be pro-woman, that's what happens. Is you're like, okay, why shouldn't the woman dominate? It's like it's just disgusting. It's gross. It's bad. Okay, don't have sex before marriage. Don't have sex with anyone except for your wife. Stop being gay. I mean, it's pretty simple. But some people can't get it. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'm like, I go to them like, stop being gay. And they're just like, I can't. I can't. I don't know how. It's like, why don't you get it? Stop being gay. Just stop. Just stop. It's easy. I'm not gay, so clearly it's not hard. Just don't do it. It's not that hard, but these guys don't get it. I don't know what's happening. I just tell them to stop, and they just don't get it. They're like, actually, I was born to suck penis. It's like, no, you weren't. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. No, you weren't. You were not born to suck penis, sir. My viewership dropped immediately. That's funny. That's hilarious. That's great. That's great. That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. Anyways, it's all a joke. We do this in good fun, but it just becomes depressing at some point. It's like it's just gross. It gets hard to talk about because you're discussing things and your eyes are basically a portal to your soul, and you're consuming this content and you're just looking into it and you're seeing evil face to face. The same way like, Saul saw God and became Paul. We're seeing demons in front of us, and every day we go to work and we have to work with these demons, or else we're fired. We just got to work with these people, or else we lose our job. And we're sitting here just staring at them, consuming all their evilness into our soul. And then we're just like, we wonder why we need ADHD pills or SSRIs or all these other stuff to seem to be normal. We wonder why we're so distressed, why we can't find an answer to anything. We wonder why we live in a world where everyone is still a kid, no one has matured, no one can self-suffice, everyone is still rebellious in the same way a kid is towards their parents. No one is disciplined, no one can stop themselves from doing their immediate intrusive thoughts. And we wonder why. It's just because the whole system is made to curate evil into being an acceptable mainstream thing. It used to be that like if evil participated in the exists in the workforce, and there was enough of a public outcry about it, they could just fire the person that was evil. But now, if you do that and you just fire them, they'd be like, "Oh, that's religious discrimination." So it's just like, why is that a protected thing you can have now? You're allowed to like believe that you're a deity. Like I had this at work. Somebody was telling me it's a deity, and I was just like, I was just looking at him. It was just like the most mind-boggling thing I've ever heard. But you can't do anything about it if you're in a workforce. It's awful. And these people think as long as it's in the parts of your own home, it's okay. Bro, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! They're raping your kids. Wake up! Wake up! Hitler, they're invading. They're invading right now. Hitler, wake up! Wake up! Wake up! But they can't. They don't wake up. They're still asleep. Wake up, bro! They're trying to have sex with your kids. Wake up! You know. But all these bros always sleeping. They're like, well, as long as it's in the privacy of their own home, it's okay, I guess. What's wrong with you, bro? Imagine going to a church and being like, my son is a tranny. My other son has sex with men. Imagine like going to church and saying that and just being like, Oh, but it's okay. They're not my home anymore. I can't do anything about it. Bro, you're still their dad. It's still your fault that you allowed this to happen. You're their leader. The same thing exists for the government. You are their parents, basically, if you're the government. It is your job to stop this. It is your job to restrict this. But that's not what they care about. It's the same thing about parents taking their kids to drag and that being child abuse. They want the kids to be this way. The government wants you to be this way. The government wants you to be homosexual. The government wants you to worship Satan. They want you to hate Jesus Christ. They want to separate you from Jesus Christ. And they want to make it to where if you refuse to follow their demands, they will either threaten you with everything that ever exists, sometimes including your family, for you to disavow Christ. They want you to disavow him before man, so they will see you in the same place they know they will end up, which is hell. That's the end of it. And every time they see someone that's happy and joyful, it eats at them. It eats at their soul. So they, as the demons, must spread their evil influence in order to corrode you as a person so that they can then prosper, so that they can then enjoy as many intrusive thoughts and lustful actions as they can perceive or even like see have in one day, so that they can do as much evil as they can in one moment. And if they can allow it to happen by ending you as a person, ending your self-sufficiency, ending your dependency on Christ, then their goal is met. They can't win in the end. They will lose before God. But they can only they can't win, but they can make you lose. They can try and trick you into denying God. They can try and make you lose too. It's like the guy who knows he's already lost a game and now his only gambit has become to make other people lose. He's a sore loser. He's gay. He's retarded. Okay, and he's just pathetic. But that doesn't matter because he has the power in the end because he wants you to lose and he has the power to do that. And that's what they're trying to do. They want to come at you and threaten you, your job, and everything, and come to you and say, deny God, and then we'll allow you to have all this stuff. Deny God, and you can have a job at the Daily Wire. You can come on all of our shows if you deny the Christian movement online. If you deny all these things and you suck up towards their wants, you can get a spot to Daily Wire. You can get a spot at the Blaze if you do this. That can happen, and that's the end of it. You have all these people whom some of them I've talked to personally, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, I love God. I love Jesus. I want to fight for him, and I believe that we must change the paradigm of what is acceptable in culture." Yet at the same moment, they want to become a part of the culture, which is true. But how can you become a part of a culture? How can you become a liked and accepted person? Like, not that we shouldn't become part of the culture, but what they mean when they say they want to be a part of the culture, they mean they want to exist in the current culture, not that they want to create a new culture. And this current culture is that of anti-Christian. So if you want to exist in the current culture, that means you must abide by the demands of those that control what is acceptable and not acceptable. And if that is your end goal, then you, my friend, have denied Christ before man. You, my friend, have distanced yourself from God. You have distanced your soul from God. And you have all these people I've talked to, and now these people that are probably gonna get jobs at like Daily Wire or whatever, whom I've talked to some of them, I have like you guys definitely know who I'm talking about. I'm not gonna get into names, but you know who I'm talking about. And then they'll just like disavow all these things because they think disavowing this thing will get them inside the current culture. I'm not in the business of becoming popular. I'm not in the business of becoming liked. I'm not in the business of being part of the culture. I'd rather have my 800 subs and preach my actual authentic takes and preach actual Christianity to 800 followers than to lie before a million people. I'd rather sit here with my small audience rather than working for a Daily Wire or some congressman who hates my values any day of the week. Because what I care about is God and spreading Christianity. I don't care about being liked. You have all these political nerds who are like, I'm Christian, but you ask them what they think about homosexuality, and they're like, I believe in gay marriage. I don't believe the government has anything to do with it. Bro, you're not a Christian. You don't believe in God. You're too prideful to put your own flesh and success away for expressing his glory. And that's just the end of it. I mean, that's it. Like I know people IRL who are like this. I remember earlier there's this guy whom I'm friends with IRL who I had we did, like we were both, like, the political kids in high school. This is a great friend, I'm not gonna, like, say I don't like him as a dude, he's not funny or anything, but he spends all this time creating all these friends and groups of people so that he can one day gain political office. I sort of did the same thing, and then senior year, rather than playing the part, rather than being like, I like you, I'm gonna allow you to bend over me and have sex with me." It's basically like what he's saying. It's like, "You can control me. You can be my master." Rather than saying that, I'll say, "I'm coming down here. I am going to be the person that decides what should happen. I'm not going to allow you to use me as a person in power to facilitate your evil views. I don't care about being liked. I care about being truthful." And I made that very clear. I lost so many friendships my senior year of high school over this because I was seen as sexist, racist, and anyone that wanted to be friends with me couldn't be friends with me in public because they knew that they'd have other people coming on their tails for doing so. I became the most hated person in my high school and also the most loved person in my high school at the same time. There was factions over whether people liked me or not, and became a it was honestly really funny, but it just became a massive deal. But I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if you don't like me. I care if God likes me, and I care about my connection with the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the end of it. It's been a while since we've gone rant mode. It's been a while since we've gone rant mode. I think the last time I did a solo show, it's been a while now. Usually I have somebody else, I let them rant off, but I guess we're just not in a good mood today. I guess we just want to go off on people. Um, yeah, people hate Jesus. He came upon his own, and his own received him not. True. There is nothing more exclusive than Christianity. There's all these other religions that say you are God, or say there are many gods, and these many gods have many people whom are their sons, and then you have the power from them. There's many exclusive or inclusive religions, but there's no religion as exclusive as Christianity because God said, I am, because He is. He is the truth. And it says you have to take away your pride. You cannot worship yourself. You have to take away your love for yourself and rechannel that into a love for Jesus. Is entirely exclusive, or yeah, entirely, yeah. That's the right word. And that's why they hate it so much. Is because it's the only religion of which, and you could say that to Muslims to some extent, but they don't care about fighting Islam as much because they don't perceive Islam as an actual threat because they can understand that Islam is silly. This stuff about like camel piss and all this stuff they believe in is silly. But the only believable doctrine is that of Christianity, which is why at every front they fight it. And they've made it nearly impossible to exist and have a family and also carry the burden of the cross in a way that Jesus asks you. You want to have a family, which is like almost the one of any human being ever, but you also want to carry the cross of Jesus Christ, but they made it impossible to do, but nearly impossible to do both. I think it's still possible. They made it really hard to do both. If you want to exist in modern society, you basically have to refuse to carry the cross of Christ. You have to accept to exist with people. And I don't want to act like I'm perfect when it comes to this. I have many people whom I work with whom I've had multiple occasions to say something to condemn their sins, to rebuke them, but I have failed the calling on multiple occasions. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I've really done that. But I'm also going to be real about it. I'm going to be honest with you about it, and also be real with the fact that I do understand that is something that I need to get done, and something that all of us need to get done. Because until we make it a normalized thing to do, there's going to be a lot more Christians who fall from grace because they refuse to do their calling. So until it's like, it really is like, anyone ever seen that movie Radio Rebel? I know this is kind of a weird reference, but in the Disney movie Radio Rebel, there's like this character, this radio host who's just like me. She's just like me. It's Debbie Ryan's Radio Rebel, where she makes radio shows where she talks about the school people, and it makes all the administration mad. This is literally just my story. And then all the students like it, and they have this like end award ceremony, if I remember correctly. And this lady's like, "Who's Radio Rebel?" And then everyone stands up and says, "I'm Radio Rebel." And then it's like a powerful scene. It's like until everyone's, and that's like basically what it is. Until everyone starts standing up, and once one person stands up, other people will start doing it. But no one wants to be that person that starts. Everyone wants to be the person that follows. No one wants to be the person whom starts the movement. Jesus did that for you. Jesus for you said, "I will die, and so that you can walk. I will run so you can walk." It's basically what he did. I will carry the cross on my shoulders so that you can live. And there's nothing more amazing than that. There is nothing more amazing than that. But yeah, we got to be a lot better about carrying the cross, about living our everyday life in Jesus. I don't think anyone denies that, except for the Satanists, of course, who want to deceive you into believing these awful things. But I do just find it concerning how many people I've encountered whom I know personally. I've talked to on multiple occasions. They agree with me on basically everything. They'll say they're a true Christian, and then they'll sell out at any moment for any somewhat form of popularity. And it's just others. It's just an awful sight to see. It's a horrible thing to see people whom you know sell their souls on any occasion they can. It's awful. Uh, did anybody quick off the topic thing? I believe, did anyone see? I know Vince Dunn did that Vice panel. They should put me on a Vice panel, okay? When's my Vice panel? I want to be on the Vice panel, okay? It should be Christians versus atheists or something like that. Conservative Christians versus liberal Christians or something like that. I should be on a Vice panel. Okay, put me on a Vice panel. But Vince Dow got featured on the Michael Knowles show twice. He got featured on Matt Walsh show once, Ben Shapiro show once. I think he was on Newsmax, if I remember correctly. I think it was Newsmax. It wasn't OAN. I think it was Newsmax with Addison. Is his name Addison Page? I don't remember. But yeah, I believe it was on Newsmax, and he's on all these things. And it's like, what did he do? I mean, he went on Vice, and I mean, I guess he did an okay job. I mean, not to discredit his workings. I think he's played his cards extremely well. If his end goal is to like get on all these big platforms, I think he's played his cards very well. However, I mean, he didn't really do anything spectacular outside of just being Asian. I mean, that's all he did on the panel really was be Asian and state basic things. But I mean, it's whatever. These people will highlight their token for any moment. I'm just wondering, is Vince Dow going to get a spot on Daily Wire? That's what I'm wondering. That'd be weird. Because Vince Dow was on my show before he was on Michael Knowles' show. That's real. Vince Dow was on my show before he was on Ben Shapiro's show. That's true too. I'm like I'm like the hillbilly of like all these people that are like, oh, well, I was into this meme before you were. I'm like a real influencer. I had all these people on before they were popular. That's so true. That's so true. These people came on my show and then they succeeded. If you want to succeed, come on my show, okay? If you come on my show, you'll be the president. Hey, Nick Fuentes, listen here. Since Vince Dow's now becoming super popular, come on my show and then you're gonna become president next. That's how it works. Yeah, he probably will be a Daily Wire contributor at some point. It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. That's Keck. So true, Mr. McCarthy. Can we get a big shout out to Joseph McCarthy Stan? Big fan of Joseph McCarthy Stan. Great guy. I don't know who that is, but he's in my chat, so he's a great guy, obviously. Uh, but we wouldn't call it hate speech. We call it love speech. So true. This black woman was in my DMs earlier, and she was like, "You mayo cracker monkey, all you white people are going to hell." And I was just like, "I love you, baby." And I think I sent her a kiss emoji too. Uh, let me read what I sent her. She she says, I don't know what you thought posting this was supposed to be, but this is very disgusting and white of you. It's very disrespectful and wrong. You are so ignorant and a white piece of shit. Honestly, this is what's wrong with society today. This is why white people will be burned in hell. Very loving person, by the way. And I just said, redacted, be like, you're racist, but also white people will be burned in hell. You hold no love in your heart. I love you. And that's what I sent her. So true. That's so true. That's so true. These people have no love in their heart. They haven't accepted the Christian ethos of love everyone. So you tell them like, oh, I love X person whom is hated by society, and they're like, you can't say that. Where's the I love Carter Shaw messages coming from people whom know me personally whenever I got canceled? Where are those messages? I'm in the Bible Belt. This should be the place where everyone loves everyone. But I've gotten a lot more people telling me, go to hell, kill yourself, than I've gotten maybe like 2 or 3 messages that said, like, that express support towards me. Maybe a couple more. Maybe I'm under exaggerating, but it's like, we're in the Bible Belt, the land of forgiveness or the land of Christian morale. Where is the Christian morale? I'm over here just living, trying to express Christianity, and at every single moment, these people whom I know, a lot of them go to church with me, will take any moment they can to diss me. And it's just it's clownery. It's clownery. These people call themselves Christians, but they're Christians in name only. They're Kinos, okay? And it's not very Kino what they're doing. We was racist and shit, man. That's so true. That's so true. Can we give it up for black people in chat? Can we get an '07 for black people? Can we get an '07 for the black race? Okay. They've contributed so much to society. They invented gravity. They were kings. The whole reason that America exists is because of black people. Okay. Can we give an '07 to blacks? That's so real. That's so real. Hey, that's so true. That's so true. Richard Long gets it. Richard Long gets it. Yeah, I'm probably going to end the stream here. It's been running for 57 minutes. Thank you guys for sticking around when I grabbed my water. I really needed that. I probably should have grabbed one before the stream, but I forgot to. We're back into old drip. I think I might have recorded my Joker one in this video, or it might have been a different red shirt, but I really like this red button up. I really like this shirt. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to see any more of my content, click the link in the description. I have my Instagram. There's a podcast we do weekly with JPEG, Big Nick, Mr. Decapitated, and sometimes Mr. Decapitated in big numbers. We do that weekly. We also have my Instagram where I post bangers. I don't have a Twitter anymore. I'm doing the outro to my show. Go away. Anyways, bye-bye.